The Times at 10. Call them America's scummiest home videos. Tape shot by Little Havana residents of hookers, drug dealers, and just your run-of-the-mill thugs freely roaming the neighborhood until residents took their tapes to us, and then we took them to police. Now we've got our own videos. Call them Cops in Little Havana, as the police move in and the bad guys move out. Here's John Mattis.
Pull the car over. Pull over to the side. Échate para el lado.
The guy you're looking at was just busted for taking a walk on the wild side of Little Havana. And so are these guys. What's happened? How's Little Havana tonight? It's all part of a sting operation by Miami PD.
Okay, she's in position now.
And it was prompted by a Times investigation.
It's a four-door maroon car facing northbound. She's talking to him now.
Undercover officers took in customer after customer. Some of them offering as little as $15 for sex. Ooh, times must be tough.
15 for a
Oh, what a difference a few days make.
It's a transvestite. Are you sure? Yeah. Oh, look at here.
That's Serafin DeBesa, a local businessman who was so fed up with the hookers and drug dealers in his neighborhood that he shot his own undercover surveillance tape. And that's when the Times stepped in. Can we ask you about the neighborhood? What's going on over here? What's going rates down here?
Huh?
What's like price of things down here? And it wasn't just on the streets. Take a look up there in the window. What are they doing? And why are they counting that money? You don't want to know. Un poquito cocaina upstairs? But the mayor was real interested when we took him the tape.
The front door.
Now this one's a little more obvious what it is.
Yeah. And so were the police. In fact, they want to know who this lovely lady is picking up her skirt. That is a woman, isn't it?
It picked up later on. As you can see, there's a problem with prostitutes and John's.
And Miami police promised us they aren't going to let up.
Okay, he's good to go. Go ahead and take him down.
We really appreciate the effort on WAMI's part, especially you, John. We really appreciate what you've done. You've been very gutsy, coming out and exposing these individuals and asking them what are they doing here.
So what's happening, guys? Nothing? Yeah, doesn't look like fun.
John Mattis tells us the merchants will meet next week with Miami Mayor Joe Carollo. The merchants say they know the area can't be turned around overnight, but they are in it for the long haul. At your local theaters this week, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Get in my belly! Come on!
If you've seen the movie, you likely laughed heartily at two rather monstrous characters, Fat Bastard and a dwarf, Mini-Me. But if you're a child of the politically correct late 20th century, your laughter was tempered with guilt. Mark Mooney explains.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat you!
Not long ago, they would have called out the PC police over a movie scene like this. A bald midget and a 600-pound Scotsman, the one trying to make a meal out of the other.
Get in my belly!
But instead of drawing outrage from spokespeople for the vertically and metabolically challenged, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, is making America laugh.
Because Austin Powers is just so overwhelmingly silly.
Before there was dwarf tossing, there was a time when it was okay to be short. Political correctness tried to right the wrongs of an insensitive America. But self-seriousness and linguistic self-restraint got boring.
Pansy-ass stool pusher. Yes!
And in time, gays got bashed in film. The physically challenged got laughed at. And they named a movie character the Fat Bastard, and it was a giggle. Just ask a man who dropped 100 pounds after hearing every fat joke on the pike.
It is a spoof, and I think anybody who sees the movie should know that it is a spoof, and there's going to be a lot of exaggeration in the movie.
Now, I don't enjoy being called a Smurf when I walk into the supermarket to get a loaf of bread.
For Sandra Quercia Grossa, it's one thing to call names, quite another to laugh at yourself.
You are what you are and what God gave you, and you can be happy and enjoy it, or you can be miserable.
In the end, it seems we just got too self-serious, too thin-skinned, and too dull. We should know when we've crossed the line to offensive humor, but for now, we like loosening up.
More on Austin Powers later in the show, including the message that the movie basically has for Star Wars, at least at the box office, which is, get in my belly. Best I can do. Now, tonight's Times web poll. What are your thoughts on the characters Fat Bastard, and Mini-Me. They're offensive. Overweight and short people have every right to complain. Or they're racy but funny. 3, they're outrageously funny and not expensive, not offensive, or expensive for that matter. The PC crowd should learn to behave. The performances are Oscar quality. That's your other choice. You can participate in our web poll by logging onto our website at www.wami.citysearch.com. We'll have poll results for you at the end of the show. Break times now. When we continue, impeachment, that's old news. Travelgate, it's a big yawn. Whitewater, come on, who cares? We needed some good Clinton bashing to spice up the show, so we turned to the pundit who may hate him the most.
He's a war criminal, a rapist, a psychopathic liar, and a man unusually open to any offer of corruption.
And we'll track down a local athlete who may just turn into a local Olympic champ. And talk about news you can use. Later, Miami Herald television critic Terry Jackson will tell you what's worth missing, what's worth taping, and what's worth watching this week on the Tube.
On this day in 1982, Argentine forces surrendered to the British on the Falkland Islands, ending the war. The conflict started when Argentina's military invaded the Falklands, claiming they belonged to Argentina, not Great Britain.
Let's check today's top headlines, and let's check them in less than 60 seconds. Who's afraid of Virginia Key? The beach, which has been closed for more than 15 years, could be reopened within 30 days, but only on the north side. Civil rights activists have been fighting a plan to privately develop the south side. They argue it has historical significance as the only beach open to blacks in Dade County during segregation. In the old days, casinos relied on the mob for protection. Now they can turn to William Rehnquist and his 8 capos. The Supreme Court today ruled prohibitions on gambling advertisements are unconstitutional. The vote was 9-0, meaning if you bet against the casino industry and gave 8 votes, you lose. Thanks to Warner Wolf for that. Bush and Clinton are hitting the campaign trail, but George and Bill, they're staying home. Hillary Clinton announced today she's setting up a New York bank account to collect contributions for her New York Senate run. Meanwhile, Texas Governor George W. Bush said he won't use an abortion litmus test for Supreme Court nominations. Word is, though, he will use an actual litmus test to see if any potential nominees are too acidic. What political leader is a bigger liar than Saddam Hussein, more arrogant than Fidel Castro, and more dangerous than Muammar Gaddafi? We'll give you a hint. He's got a dog named Buddy. Here's John Mattis with legendary Clinton basher Christopher Hitchens of Vanity Fair.
He's a war criminal, a rapist, a psychopathic liar, and a man unusually open to any offer of corruption.
He's not talking about Slobodan Milosevic or Saddam Hussein. Political writer Christopher Hitchens is talking about our president.
You want to know what I really think of him?
Hitchens is author of the new book, No One Left to Lie To.
He considers the Oval Office, for example, of the Lincoln bedroom, to belong to the president and his wife, to be used for fundraisers and as hot sheet motel.
Hey, at least there's no neon sign out front. As for Clinton's foreign policy, did he wag the dog or didn't he?
3 times last year, in Afghanistan, in Sudan, and in Iraq, there's now no doubt of it, Mr. Clinton used cruise missiles to try and alter his own court calendar.
If you have nothing nice to say about your president, say it anyway. And when you're through with Clinton, there's always Janet Reno.
I don't know what she was like when she was here, but if by any chance she was self-righteous but incompetent, that's probably what they picked her for.
So much for his cabinet. How about his political advisors? Guys like Dick Morris.
Could have grown a better specimen than Dick Morris on my sponge in the bathroom. He exemplifies everything that's cheesy and horrible about American politics.
Christopher Hitchens, it needs to be noted, voluntarily ratted out his old friend Sidney Blumenthal to Ken Starr's office. On Friday, we reported on a computer virus called worm.explorer.zip that was spreading throughout the world. Now it turns out the virus is even more infectious than previously believed. Like its basketball counterpart, the worm rebounded with a vengeance today when everyone returned to work from the weekend. Eradicating it from your email is not enough to stop the virus. It worms itself back onto people's computers through the network coworkers use to share files. Yolanda McRae is on the fast track, a collegiate champion. She's one of the top track stars in the country. The Sydney Olympics is her next goal, and considering all the hurdles she's cleared along the way, it would be a mistake to bet against her. Here's Danielle Serino.
Every time she steps on the line, she expects to win, and she does everything she can to win.
She has that don't mess with me attitude.
I'm going to be the best.
Yolanda McRae was on the money when she predicted a sweep in the 100-yard hurdles 2 weeks ago at the NCAA championships. But then, she usually wins.
If you're going to plan on going to do your best, you have to think like a winner and think like a champion. You can't think for anything other than first place.
At the age of 22, McRae is a 6-time All-American at UM and on the fast track to the 2000 Olympics.
Yolanda's definitely, ranks as the top athlete we've had come through the University of Miami.
But that success wasn't handed to her. McRae was one of 3 children raised in a single-parent household. There were years growing up in the ghettos, constantly moving, her family scraping by from paycheck to paycheck. McRae learned early on she had to fight for what she wanted.
Set, go.
Call it destiny. McRae was born to a long line of athletes. Not just her 2 brothers, but her mother was a track star.
It was basically the McRae thing or whatever. Wherever we used to go, people used to always ask us to race other people or race each other.
It wasn't long before she took her talent from the streets to the track, racking up award after award and breaking 4 records at UM in the hurdles and as a member of the relay team.
Instead of coming in 3rd and 4th, she was getting up to 2nd and started coming in 1st. And then all of a sudden, at the junior year, she was ready to go. She was smoking there.
In the midst of her breakneck pace for world domination, McRae took a year off to focus on her studies. Unheard of. And yet when she returned to competition this season, she still blew everyone away.
I just want to be the best that I can be in life. I want to do the best things that I can. If I ever have kids, I want my kids to be able to look back on their parent and be proud of them.
You can watch Yolanda McRae later tonight. She'll be a guest right here on Sportstown. That's coming up at 10:30. Birthday game time when we come back. Answers to how old these celebrities will be tomorrow. First, Helen Hunt, then Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris, and Mrs. David Arquette, Courtney Cox. Also, is South Park in danger of going south? Miami Herald TV critic Terry Jackson says the new episodes need to hit it out of the park. And will there be a Clooney sighting next year on ER? And if so, what will it cost the producers? And all the weather you could possibly need, and as the kids like to say, a bag of chips.
Star Wars Mojo over the weekend. That's
your birthday game answers. Tomorrow, Helen Hunt will be 36. Neil Patrick Harris will be 26. Nothing makes you feel older than knowing that Doogie Howser is going to be 26 years old tomorrow. And Courtney Cox will be 35 years old. Her new husband, David Arquette, just 27 years old. Older women. They're a tight-knit community devoted to spiritual enlightenment, but behind the beards and dark coats of Miami's Orthodox Jewish community lies a dark secret: drug and alcohol addiction. Tomorrow on The Times, we investigate the deep-rooted denial and what's being done to bring the Orthodox addicts into treatment. Also, imagine paying thousands of dollars for a sleek new wood floor only to have it buckle underneath your feet. Tomorrow, The Times fights back against a carpet and floor company trying to walk all over its customers. Who killed Kenny is no longer the big question. At the end of this season, we may be asking, what killed South Park? Year 3 of the show premieres this week. In this week's TV Times, Miami Herald television critic Terry Jackson says at times, the show appears to be stuck in park.
The thermometer says it's summer, and usually that means bad TV. But if we look really hard, we can find a couple of things to watch this week, most of them on cable.
Dude, that kicks ass!
That TV series that sort of immortalized cussing 8-year-olds, South Park, comes back for its 3rd season starting Wednesday night.
Hello there, children.
Hey, Chef!
I was a fan of this show when it first came out. The first episode, Cartman Gets an Anal Probe, was one of the best comedic episodes I've ever seen.
And these scary aliens wanted to operate on me.
Since then, it's fallen downhill, and I hope for the 3rd season that they pick it up.
Shut up, dude. You're being totally immature.
This Sunday is Father's Day. And while television doesn't make as big a deal out of Father's Day as it does out of Mother's Day, the best show on TV this week about fathers and sons is an ABC special called The Story of Fathers and Sons, which airs Thursday.
I love my dad because he's really funny.
It's a heartwarming special about the interaction between fathers and sons. If you haven't gotten enough of basketball this week with the NBA championships, A&E can offer you a look at another side of basketball, the Harlem Globetrotters.
Hey everybody, Globetrotters in town?
In their A&E biography series, they look at the group that's been called the Clown Princes of Basketball. It's worth taking a look at. Perhaps the best thing on TV this week is a made-for-TV movie on TNT that looks at the lives of computer giants Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. It's called Pirates of Silicon Valley, and it stars Noah Wyle as Steve Jobs, the man who created Apple computers. It also stars Anthony Michael Hall, the former Brat Pack movie star, as Bill Gates, the richest man in the world.
Look, it's our job to find out what this guy doesn't know that he needs, but does need, and then make sure he knows that he does need it and that we're the only ones to give him the answer.
It's an unflinching look at 2 complex men who have come to define the computer era in the world. This is one of the best movies of the year, bar none.
That's TV Times with Miami Herald TV critic Terry Jackson. There's big news to report tonight in the entertainment world. I'm not going to read the day's entertainment stories. Man, that is big news. Here's Faye Fredericks. What's going on, Faye?
Thanks, Ben. Austin Powers stole Star Wars mojo over the weekend, besting The Phantom Menace at the box office by a 2-to-1 margin.
I've turned the moon into what I like to call a Death Star. Rip off!
The $54.7 million take helped Powers shag some new records. The biggest comedy opening, the biggest June opening, and the second biggest non-holiday opening. The weekend total is more than the original Austin Powers movie made from its entire theatrical run. And since the movie only cost $33 million to create, it could end up making as much as... Ben, how much could it make?
$1 million!
Moving on. They say money can't buy success, or was that happiness? Anyway, what it apparently does buy is an Oscar. Michael Jackson picked up David O. Selznick's Oscar for Gone with the Wind at a New York auction this past weekend. No flea market special this. Jackson paid $1.5 million.
It's the only way he's getting an Oscar.
Thank you, Ben. The creator of the Chimp Channel is going ape over his dismissal from the show. Tom Stern, who co-created Chimp TV, was fired right before production began because he staged a naked protest on the set. That's all. He says TBS, which is carrying the program, gutted the satire from the show, made it too tame, and let the legal department write the jokes. Stern also claims TBS gave him prior permission to go bananas and monkey around on the set. He has filed suit in L.A. We, on the other hand, have hit the wall in the monkey metaphors. The story is done. People magazine reports George Clooney will appear several times on ER next year. He'll receive $2 million for every appearance. Not a bad gig, picking up a $2 million check every time you make an appearance at work. Then there's Ricky Martin, who says real men don't just eat quiche, they cry while doing it. In a new book about the singer, Martin is quoted as saying, "Crying is a very healthy habit," and he cries, and cries a lot. Yeah, cries all the way to the bank. And finally, for those of you who just can't get enough toilet paper in your lives, and who among us doesn't love toilet paper, there's the return of Mr. Whipple, the Charmin Man. Procter & Gamble has lured the 82-year-old actor who played the Charmin Man out of retirement. Back in 1978, Mr. Whipple ranked third on the list of best-known Americans after President Richard Nixon and Billy Graham. Of course, that was long before, Ben, you made the highest-paid anchor by The Times recent poll.
Highest paid anchor?
Highest paid anchor, I believe that was it, wasn't it?
I don't know what poll you were looking at. Thank you so much, Faye. That's fabulous. What did Mr. Whipple have to retire from? When we return, 5 days worth of weather in less than 1 minute. That's less than 12 seconds a day. Stick around.
And they're out of the blocks. McRae with a good start, out in the lead after 10 meters, but here comes Gail Devers. It's Devers. McRae, Devers at the tape.
45!
Just a thought. Just a little prep. What are we going to talk about?
You want to take the Marlins and the...
Sportstown is less than 2 minutes away. Here with a preview, Tim Ring, Mark Jones.
All right, thanks a lot, Ben. A lot happening on Sportstown. In the baseball world, the Florida Marlins hitting the road big time. 12 consecutive games on the road in 14 games. They started off tonight against the big unit, Randy Johnson in Arizona.
Yeah, speaking of the road to the World Series continues for the Hurricanes in Omaha. We'll check on them. Plus, speaking of Hurricanes, the best track athlete over there, Yolanda McRae, live right here in studio. Ben, it's all coming up in just a few.
Thank you, guys. Of course, we just told you about Yolanda McRae a couple of minutes ago. I don't think I realized I was actually on TV for that brief moment of awkwardness there. We begin the forecast looking far across the Atlantic, where Arlene, our first tropical storm of the season, continues to spin. Good news, Arlene's 50-mile-an-hour winds won't threaten the United States. She'll remain over the open waters of the Atlantic. Tropical storm watch is still in effect for Bermuda. Tonight's local satellite picture picks up the partly cloudy skies around the area. We had a few showers earlier today, but most have died out. After a high of 89 degrees in Miami, our current temperatures have dropped back into the low 80s. We'll begin the day in the mid-70s tomorrow. Rain will spread over the region during the morning hours. Showers and thunderstorms will be with us throughout the afternoon. Some could be severe with heavy downpours and gusty winds, so be prepared for some rough driving weather. Over the next 5 days, the threat of rainy weather will continue. Highs continue in the upper 80s with those pesky thunderstorms likely throughout the period. Here at the Times, we're here to help, so you don't have to take matters into your own hands. If you have a consumer problem, you can call us and we will go to great lengths not only to tell your story but to fix your problems. If you think you've been wronged, you can call the Times Fights Back at 604-6110, or you can email us at thetimes@miamiusa.com. We hope to bring you some web poll results tonight, but our web poll broke, so we won't have those tonight. Time's up. Almost. It's been a tense day here at the Times. CNN is here shooting a story about us for their show, CNN Entertainment Weekly. The show is hosted by Judd Rose and Willow Bay, and that's ironic because whenever I read a story, I think, how would Willow say that? What would Judd's spin be? I know if I'm anything like they are, everything will be okay. Now time's up. Thanks for watching. I'm Ben Mankiewicz. These are the Times at 10.
Right now on Sports Town, the Marlins' longest rodeo of the year underway. The Fish have deserted for the desert, and their task in Phoenix tonight is one tall order. Highlights ahead. Plus, the story from Omaha, the Canes just 2 wins away from a national title, but the next 2 days, the only game they'll play is the waiting one. And a reality check. Larry Dierker, manager of the Houston Astros, survives a sudden seizure. Now he's in for another battle, undergoing brain surgery. And we've got the best college hurdler in the country in the house, and she's right in our own very backyard. From the NCAA title to the World Championships and maybe the Olympics, Yolanda McRae is a star on the rise. I'm Mark Jones, and this is the mothership of sports shows. We like to dig it and call it Sports Town. I'm Mark Jones. He's Tim Ring. Carroll City to the Grove all day, every day. We got it on lockdown and covered tonight. We really do. The Marlins, well, they're going to be gone for a long time. If you wanted to check those guys out, you probably should have headed out to the Pro over the weekend. They'll be on the road for a couple of weeks. Tonight, Brad, more than a note as the not only sports world but society mourns the loss of a legend.
Yeah, this was a guy that crossed a lot of different boundaries. You know, he was as graceful and elegant as any athlete who ever played the game, living his life with class and dignity. Jelton Joe DiMaggio, the son of immigrants, who mastered America's pastime, married a Hollywood legend, and battled cancer with every last ounce of courage. The Yankee Clipper is gone, dead at the age of 84. DiMaggio passed away early this morning at his home in Hollywood, Florida. After spending 99 days in the hospital following lung cancer surgery, DiMaggio fought back from several complications. He was released in late January. Private to the very end, DiMaggio once awoke from a coma and scolded the doctors for releasing information about his condition. He was surrounded by family and friends when he died shortly after midnight. Later in the show, a tribute to the Yankee Clipper.
All right, to the NBA, the Heat, not a whole lot of time to try and figure out who put a lid on the basket at Market Square Arena yesterday. Miami back home tonight hosting a Philadelphia team they defeated by 11 points just 3 days ago. Tonight begins a stretch of 5 straight home games for Miami. They open play tonight a game and a half behind Orlando in the Atlantic, trying to defeat a Sixer team that hadn't beaten them since November of 1996. You think they shot bad yesterday? It was awful at first. They missed their first 7, but Zoe got them going with the dunk. Miami had the first lead of the game for themselves, 8-7 right there. Heat up 3. They went on a hot shooting streak. Off the steal, Terry Porter gets the lay, and Alonzo Mourning gets a piece of Rick Mahorn and lets him know about it. The Heat up 6.
Fired up. It was 28-23 after 1. Heat led by 7, but here come the Sixers. That's rookie Larry Hughes, open 3, made it 34-31 Miami. What about Clarence Weatherspoon off the bench? Big night. His 3rd shot in a row. That was a jam. He had 13 points. Heat rough by 2.
Philly, though, would go on a run. Eric Snow, boy, the young guy out of Michigan State, had himself a career night. The jump shot there, the Heat lead was only 3, and then it got worse in the second half after Miami had a 1-point lead in the locker room. Zoe twisted his ankle into the locker room. Almost did not return, Brad.
Since second quarter, Philly was on a 22-11 run. That's good. Allen Iverson, the answer. Nice little bucket inside right there to Lynch. 10 points on the night for him. Sixers are up by 11.
But then Terry Porter to the rescue. The veteran off the bench. The huge pull-up 3 for Porter. He really got hot when the Heat needed him.